everyone, Pinkpwnage here. We are going to get right into it. We're going to teach you in one video how to heal the raids effectively, and we'll get right onto the rotation. Then I'll explain all the good details after, because I know some people have short attention spans. So here we go. The first thing you're going to want to do is drop Efflorescence, which will make it so that your heals are more powerful on your group members by giving you another heal over time buff on them and just generally making them stronger. And you're going to want to utilize your Call of the Forest, which is really your strongest heal. If I pull up a random encounter, usually it's in the top 2. Make sure you aim it at your party members so it stampedes them, because this will provide them with huge shields. You're going to follow that up with, on a cooldown ability, you're going to follow this up with Convoke the Spirits. And then you're going to follow up with Flourish, and then you're going to follow up with Tranquility. Okay, and this is going to be essentially your cooldown rotation, which should then be preceded by Remix Time, so that it reduces the seconds of your cooldowns. And so really you're good to go again on your cooldown rotation, just waiting 25 seconds for the Call of the Forest to come up. And so you're going to want to fill that gap with your fill the gap rotation, then I'll call it. You go Wild Growth followed by Rejuvenations, and until just keep doing that, spam Rejuvenations, and then hopefully you can cast another Wild Growth as well, but hopefully your Call of Forest will be up. But otherwise you just go Wild Growth and just spam Rejuvenations. If you get a clear casting proc, which doesn't happen that often in Remix, then you're going to use a Regrowth. But essentially, otherwise, you're just going to be spamming Wild Growths and Rejuvenations, okay, for your fill the gap period. Until Call the Forest is back off a cooldown, then you're going to want to go Call the Forest again, followed by Convoke the Spirits, followed by Flourish once the Convoke is over. And then by the time those will come back up, then you will be able to use the whole thing with Tranquility again. But of course, you fill the gap with Wild Growths and Rejuvenation spam, and essentially that is it. Make sure the Efflorescence is down right, and use your Bark Skins and your Iron Skin as needed. Also, don't forget to use Swiftman as your oh crap heal when one person is in trouble. It does a lot of healing in this current remix patch. So I will now explain the rotation, then I'll show you the build, and we'll talk about some of the minor details, and we'll even show you how it's done in a raid video. Okay. First off, what we're doing is we're utilizing the broken ability Call of the Forest, right? This ability is so straight broken. Even getting this at an extremely low level, your heals will be very weak. So if you're at like 600 item level or 580, if you get this and you cast on your party, you're going to get like 10 million heals if you time it right per second, which is crazy. And so do this ideally before the damage event occurs, or do it while the event is occurring, because it is a shield, right? And so you want to catch as much damage as you can before it happens. But otherwise, get this as soon as you can. Yes, you can spam out the line and it's going to buff it up a bit, but this is the real magic, okay? This ability. Then when you get to the very end and you're level 80 and you're powering up, you're getting this essence, then you can power up your limits and bounds, and that's going to increase your versatility, which essentially increases your healing, which is great, and your stamina. And your stamina is important for for one of your healing abilities as well. And so Call of Forest, huge for healing. This alone can get you through the raid encounters when you're low gear. All right, very cool. Speaking of gear, let's get that over with. I am 706 and I can solo heal the mythic raids, and obviously you're gonna be like, oh well, hey, raids don't need heals. And yes, there are times when your party is so strong you don't even need to heal the damage encounter, but there are times when your party is not that strong and they would have died. A lot of them would have died if you did not heal. And so you can solo heal the raid even at low item level, assuming you can get the invite to get in. But just if you're following the rotation, you're going to be okay. But healers are necessary. You need at least one in a mythic raid if you don't want people just dying and losing out on loot and time because they're behind the whole raid party that's just going like a Zerg. And so even at 580 item level, you could probably solo the hero raid. I would say to solo the mythic raid, you probably want to be like 600, or 610. You might not even get the invite if you're lower than that. And so just know that you can do it, all right? So long as you follow the rotation. Otherwise, don't stress about stats. It's going to happen from your gear. Our stats are crazy, right? And so just know that, for example, my mastery is 50%, which means for every heal over time, my heals will essentially be multiplied buy the heal over times to be that much stronger, it's ridiculous. But this did not occur until I really got higher item level. So what I mean is, like, my normal heals, my wild growth, my rejuvenations, my regrowth, they don't really do a lot until you hit like 650 item level. And whereas natural defenses from Call of the Forest really does all of your healing when you're low item level. Okay, so now let's look at the build. Okay, the build is pretty straightforward. You can copy and paste from the description below. Just a few things to go over. You get your Sarah's gift by going down this top left line, and the reason why is because it heals you for 3% of your maximum health, and also it'll heal a party member if you're at full health. And that healing is huge because you have a lot of health. The stronger you get, and this will make that a stronger heal. I did originally go down the Nature Swift build, which would be more of like a bursty heal, but regrowth sucks in Remix versus all the other heals. Okay, it's actually like the worst heal out of your entire toolkit. All right, otherwise, most of the rest of this is standard. A couple notable mentions: you always get Flourish because Flourish is your raid heal. It extends the duration of your heal over times, and that's why we cast it after Convoke the Spirits. And so we always go with natural defenses from the Call of the Forest. Then we go Convoke the Spirits, which will cast 12 random spells, right? Hopefully heal over times and good powerful heals. Then you cast Flourish to get heals as well as extend the duration of your heal over times, and it extends the rate that they heal. And then since this will make it so your heal over times last on your party members, when you hit Tranquility, it's going to give you massive healing, because for each of those heal over times, it's going to make your Tranquility stronger, and this is how you're going to output like 15-20 million healing if enough damage is out in the raid. Okay, so powerful cooldown rotation. Essentially, you're like ramping like a huge cooldown burst in a short amount of time. All right, and so another notable mention is I picked Power of the Archdruid, which makes us that after Wild Growth, you can, when you cast Rejuvenation or Regrowth, you get an additional one, and that's why after we always go Wild Growth then Rejuvenation. Wild Growth, Rejuvenation. So we're efficient with mana. And now know that since we're talking about mana, ideally you want to cast Innervate on yourself before you start all your heals. But like once you hit like 600 item level, like mana isn't a problem. Just know that. Now looking at the right side of the tree, this is all stuff to power your rejuvenation. I do love this one. Even 1 point makes it so that your rejuvenation like will give you a heal when it first casts, and that heal is so noteworthy when you get stronger that it's really nice to have. Honestly, I might even like 2 of these, but it doesn't really matter because at this point everyone's so strong, and I just need to make sure that everyone's like sufficiently alive and no one dies, and you know, I do definitely a good enough job with what we got. But this will make it so that if you cast rejuvenation on people with full health, it'll last longer. So I do like that too, because I'll just be spamming rejuvenations a lot of the time. And this is the build. Okay, so now how to do it in an actual raid. In a raid, there's only a few events that really need your healing on bosses, and then there are a couple places in between, like here, where people are doing their major run-throughs, where your heals are necessary to keep people alive. We even lost a couple people because I couldn't see them, right? And so there will be times in the middle of fights where you're needed to really bust out some heals, and you might have to space out your rotation a little bit. Like it might not be a perfect rotation. For example, there I did like Call the Forest, then I did Convoke a little later, right? Feel free to pace out your cooldowns, not just cast them immediately after each other if you need to cover a longer period of time, like I did here for, you know, covering the in-between here when people were running. Now for the boss fights that do not require healing, go into cat form or just use your Convoke offensively and just start ripping and raking and shredding. Okay, just do as much damage as you can. It might not feel like a lot, but a little bit helps. Particularly as you get stronger, your damage starts to mean something even as a healer. Now again, make sure to line up your Call the Forest ability so that it hits as many people as possible. Like for here, when you see me use it, my healing starts to jump up really nice. And I do it right before the damage event, but I made sure to line up on as many people as possible. Like I turned horizontally right there, and just so it hits a lot of people. So if you look here at my heals, all of a sudden it's going to start jumping, and I didn't really cast anything extra. This is just going from the shields that I put on earlier, and the damage just starts to come out. Alright, so that's all it is. Just know the rotation, do it, space it out as needed. But otherwise, Pinkpwnage out. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Thank you for watching.
You and I before. That makes me all so sorry.